Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you are. Welcome again to our Wednesday webinar from the TechLink Steel segment team. Once again, my name is Ian Coates, I'm the product manager here in Atlanta, and I'm accompanied by the talent that is Lee Snyder, our application consultant who will be driving most of the content in today's event. This webinar today will be the part of the Fabricator series that we've been doing now. We're on to part 4 of this 6-part series. This one's going to be communication and coordination. Some of the tools that you need to help assist with talking to the engineer, with talking to the fabricator, with coordinating models with perhaps with other trades, and we'll show you some of them this afternoon. A couple of housekeeping notes before we begin. We will be doing our next webinar on Wednesday, 5th October, again, usually the first Wednesday of the month, although that's not set in stone. And that will also be part of this Fabricator series, part 5, review and change management. Tools that are going to help you with getting approvals and everything from your engineer, and also handling things that change after you've sent the drawings and the steel out to the shop, as that happens every single time on a contract. Future webinars on our website, and you can see the address there, so check that regularly. We may be interspersing a few other webinars with the custom components and perhaps with some of extensions that we've been talking about as well. So keep an eye on that website for any future webinars too. In today's presentation, we have the question and answer block as usual. Please ask questions. Don't be shy. You are the only person who can see the question being asked. Although we can see everybody's question, and we answer them as much as we can within the time available, and any answers that we can't get to, then please email them across to us. There's our email addresses on screen, or give us a call at the number shown there today anytime as well. I think without further ado, let's introduce Lee, and we'll get started on today's presentation.
Alright, thank you, Ian. Let's go ahead and introduce today's topic, the Fabricator series. Of course, we're talking about project communication and coordination. And just to give an overview, you can see the topics here on screen, but we have branded this as the Fabricator series, but these tools that we're showing are definitely useful for detailers and all sorts of different types of workflows. So hopefully, you know, the horse blinders won't be on to where this is only specific for a niche group of people, that there's different workflows and scenarios that these tools can be used in. So don't forget about that. So let's go ahead. We'll talk a little bit about comparing models with other trades. Specifically, we'll show the Class Check Manager. We'll show some internal communication options from remote locations. Specifically, we'll talk about the commenting tool and mention a new, really new extension, the Data Exchanger. And then we'll go into more of a formal communication, the RFI Manager, again, an extension that's been created. And then we'll also talk about Tekla BIM site, how you can do a lot of these things in this free application that has been distributed. So if you're working with people that don't own a Tekla Structures license, you can do class checking within Tekla BIM site with different trades models. You can share notes and comments and things like that, and I'll show you as we dive into the model. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first section, which is the Class Check Manager. And this is just a brief overview of what it can do before I hop right into the model. Basically what it's going to do is it's going to scan through and find surface interference between two different objects. So a beam going into a column, ducting going into a brace or something like that. But a very, very handy tool, and there's some new features within version 17. It's got a new interface and everything like that. But don't forget, this works for a reference object, so if you bring in an IFC file, it'll work using that. Also works with concrete, so any material within the model you'll be able to clash check. It is session based, which means that you could run the clashes on phase 1, save those and share them with the detailer, so that you can load those up and easily use them. So let's go ahead and hop into the model. Again, we're using the same model that we've been using, so I'm just going to go ahead and highlight couple areas. Let's go ahead and take a look at these and some of these objects.
Yeah, just while he's doing that, it's worthwhile differentiating between the class checking and the class check manager. What the class check manager does is gives you extra functionality over and above just the flagging of the incidences, the problems that are going to keep you awake at night.
Yeah. And so what this is doing, I have these radius beams connecting into the column that I'm clashing, and then basically just this column line here. Okay. So it scanned through, it found quite a few clashes just in this specific area, and if I rotate my model, you'll be able to see more clearly what's going on. So those are all the items that I had selected, and as I come down and click through this, it's going to highlight them in the model, so you could easily zoom to those locations or do whatever you need. Now what I'm going to do, all of these different tabs up here at the top, you can sort by them, so I'm just going to click on this. And what this does is it brings my column to curved beam clashes right to the front. So I'm just going to highlight those. And what's going on with these is there's actually an RFI out about this specific connection. I'm waiting for the engineer to get back to me on that. So what I can do within this is that since these are all the same connections and everything like that, I'm just going to right click here and I'm just going to come down and group these together. So all of those are bundled up now together, and anything that I do to these is going to be added. So I can come in here and just tag these as a sign. I could assign them to somebody, and then what I'll do in the clash information is I'll come over here to comments, create a new comment, and just say waiting for connection from engineer. Okay. So then I'll have a running history of all of this, which is going to be loaded in here. So if I look at the history, it shows all of the clashes when they were detected. It shows that I grouped them and the user that did it and that they were assigned, and then a new comment was added. So it's going to timestamp all of these things just to give us the information that we need. Okay. So a couple of things you can do within the clash check. Again, you can come in and status these. You can also come in here and assign a priority, which we'll take a look at, and then view the actual history. So what I'll do, I'm just going to quickly highlight this area here, and we'll just run some auto connections on it just to get some basic information and just show you how this workflow. So the workflow would be is that you would go through, you could use your auto connections, or you would have your detailer go through there and connect all of this. So what I'll do now is just highlight these clashes, hit the refresh button, it'll scan through all of them, and then you can see what's going on here. So let me just order these. So here at the top, so it looks like there's 3 where the clash still remains, and then all these other ones are good to go. I got the little green checkbox, so the surface interference that did exist is now gone.
Yeah, just if I can interrupt for a second, Lee, this is one of the things that I particularly love about this is in a detailing workflow, whereby if you run all the clash checks and you see that you've got a number of things to resolve, you can resolve one at a time and just refresh through the clash check manager. So you actually see a running progress now for the first time of each individual clash and when you fixed it. I remember from my own experience, you had to just kind of fix as many as you could and then rerun clash check and fix as many as you could and rerun clash check. Now you can just refresh it each time.
So I'm just tagging these that were missed. The detailer missed them, so I'm just assigning this to them. All this information again is contained in the comments and the actual history of what's going on. Now one thing that's pretty cool that you can also do is, so I could just come in and save this. So this is my session. If this was phase 1, I could save this whole thing, do a save as, give it a different name. Or what I could do with this is just save this selected. So these 3 clashes that weren't corrected, I can just save these and send this over to the detailer if I'm the project manager, or even if you're subcontracting or whatever, and then they could just load these 3 clashes into their clash check manager and just focus on those since everything else has been resolved. So a whole bunch of different options and workflows that can be used with regards to the clash check manager. Okay, so I'll close this, and again here I'm prompted to save so I can give it a name and track all of that information. So just to do a quick review, this user interface is new to version 17 with the Clash Check Manager, so you can see what the different buttons do. I'll just quickly go through this, the different flag statuses, the clash number, clash type, if it has a status, a priority, or things like that. So just briefly go through those, and maybe new for some of you that are new to this. So that pretty much sums up the class check manager. And again, just to review, you can categorize the clashes based on status, priority, or group. So moving along, the next topic that we want to talk about is the comment tool. And this was an extension that was created for informal communication within a detailing office or between different trades, where basically what can happen is that Ian and I could be working on a project all the way across the country, and I could notice something in the model and immediately comment on it, and then Ian would be able to instantly see the comments. So this could be handy with a detailer to fabricator. If you got a guy that's out in the shop and the detailer gets a design change in the shop, he can instantly add a comment with a snapshot saying, hey, these columns need to be placed on hold because we just got a change in, and they could halt the fabrication in the shop. So what we did is we previously recorded a video to simulate this scenario, and we pre-recorded it so that we could show Ian's screen and my screen. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this and explain how this process works. So I'll just pull up this video, just go ahead and hit play. And what we have here is on the left is my screen, Lee's screen, and on the right is Ian's screen. So we're just going to zoom into mine and use this comment tool. And basically what I'm going to do is, if you just take a look at kind of the interface, is similar to some of the other tools that we've created. But I'm going to come in here. We got 3 columns basically where we got a design change on them that just barely came in. I've released these for fabrication, and I want to get a quick note or comment over to the shop. So I'm just going to type in phase 1 columns, basically put these on hold because of the new information that we've received. So I can also, that'll be the title. I'll just come in here and put in a description and just type in exactly what's going on. We got a DCN, halt production on these basically. So a design change number. Ian's been out of detailing for too long. So I'm going to select these objects, and through the comment tool I can link them to this comment so that when Ian opens up the comment, it'll zoom into these locations. I'm also going to take a snapshot of these that'll also be linked to this comment, so all of this can be bundled up, and then I can just save it. And then the way that we have these linked is through an application called Dropbox. So Ian and I are sharing a folder through Dropbox, so he gets a notification on his computer that a file has been added. So he, you can see there his comment tool has the same comment that I've created. He's just going to hit refresh to bring in my comment down towards the bottom. There we go. And so he sees what's going on there. The objects are highlighted. He's got my snapshot, so then it'll be time-stamped, his response. And he's saying these apparently have already been fabricated, so we have a bigger problem than we initially thought. But it's an instant way to be able to communicate back and forth. So he'll save his comment, then my Dropbox will be notified. I can come in and hit refresh, and then his comments will show up on my screen, and we have this running communication going on here.
You know, it's quite often that you'll hear of the buzzword right now is computing in the cloud, and this is it really in the realm of technostructures. This is synchronizing through the cloud, through Dropbox, somewhere on the internet.
Yeah. So just to quickly review the comment tool, you can communicate changes, questions, RFIs, work assignments, you know, really whatever you want. Just a really good, quick, informal way to communicate within the model with linked objects and snapshots. So again, you can store the view locations. It will also remember clipping planes, and this again doesn't just work for native objects. It's for DWGs or IFC reference objects, you know, that you can link and everything like that. So an extremely handy tool that can definitely improve your productivity. So this next tool that we'll talk about, I'll let Ian explain it. It's called this Data Exchanger. It's a new tool that's recently been added to the extranet, and Ian was involved with quite a bit of the development. So I'll let him explain the majority of it.
Yeah, this tool is so new that the steel hasn't even cooled on it. It's it's right out of the mill as we speak. We just published it on the extranet in the product pages this week, and what it is just a small application which allows you in the shop or in the field to instantly status any objects within the Tekla model. So we've got a video on the product pages, and we've got limited time here, so I won't talk too much about it. But basically what it does is you send out a log of all the items in your Tekla model to the shop or to the site, and on a mobile device, it might be a laptop computer, it could be a tablet PC, it could even be the Trimble Field Link machine that we show in the video that we've made for it as well. But anything that runs Windows can run this standalone mode, and what it does is it synchronizes through the cloud instantaneously with the status updates going back to the model. So you'll see, like for example, we get a list of everything that was shipped, and if I'm on site, I then mark them as erected, a date stamp it and an initial stamp it, and the project manager back in the office can get an instant status update of anything at any given time on the project process. So that's the data exchanger. It's available on the internet as of today, extranet, sorry.
Yeah. All right, moving on, we'll go ahead and next talk about the IFR Manager, or Request for Information Manager. To remind Ian, who's been away from detailing far too long. He was calling it an RFI. All right, so what we can do with this, again, this is another tool available on the extranet where we can create and link RFIs to specific objects. Again, not just native objects, IFC reference models, objects as well. Then we'll be able to colorize the model based on the RFI status, whether it's open, overdue, or closed. And we can have the tool automatically check for us if there are things that are overdue. And then you could publish to an HTML or FTP site, or just zip up and mail them. So I'll go ahead and show this workflow quickly on a given area within the actual model.
Yeah, I mean, this whole webinar is about communication and coordination, and I think that the RFI management really is the core functionality on that. So many times, I mean, even back in the days long ago when I was detailing, RFIs were a pain in the you-know-what. So this tool should help ease some of that burden.
Yeah, okay. So you can see here I have a couple RFIs that I've already created. We referenced this one. We're missing some of these connections of the column up here. You'll see how it did remember my clip planes and everything. I can come in here and give it a specific number. Here I can assign it a status, the subject. Here you can populate information, contact information of who these RFIs are going to be transferred back and forth in the contact form for the from and the to. You can tag the date that you created it, when you want a due date, when it should be returned, and that way we'll be able to check and see if there's any overdue RFIs. And then here will be, you'll just come in and list out all of the information about the RFI. And we can also put in images. You can include attachments as well. If I go ahead and print this, just to close this, what you'll see is this creates an HTML, which is editable. You can eat it. Editable. There we go. I'm hungry. So you can eat the RFI, or you can edit it with just a simple HTML. So you can put in your logo, your date and information, and this is how it'll show up, and it'll include all the attachments and everything. So pretty handy little way to be able to log this information. So if I again double click on another one, it'll zoom me in. I got an issue here with the edge of slab. So to start totally from scratch, I'm just going to go ahead and create a brand new one, and I'll just call this RFI 11. Status is going to be open, and my issue is that these objects right here, I'll just go ahead and highlight them in the model, are architecturally exposed, and I don't have any of the paint requirements yet for these, so I'm just going to say ASS paint specs. There we go. And this will be from Lee to my boss Mark, and then I can choose any date that I want in here, so whatever, it'll automatically populate a due date for you if you want, and then when you do get a response, we can track it here. Obviously we don't have one, so I'm just going to say please provide a paint space, if I can type. There we go. Okay, so I have these objects selected, so I'm just going to click on this linked objects button so that those will be stored with the RFI. A couple of these other tools, when I open an RFI, I can click on this and it'll highlight the objects. And you can also create from the objects you have selected a 3D RFI. What that does is it creates an IFC, a small IFC model of these objects that I have highlighted. So if you're coordinating something with an engineer who doesn't have your model, you can create an IFC of these objects. He could bring it in and overlay it over his model and see how it's clashing or conflicting with his steel. So you can insert that, delete it, and everything like that. I'll also set this view so when I double click on this, it'll zoom me back in. And just to show you how we can take a snapshot, I'll just go ahead and size this window, double click like a camera, and it's added there. And I can change this name to be whatever I want. So
yeah, I mean, we won't show these tools here, but there is some editing tools as well that will help you. If you've got just a basic snapshot, you can jump into Paint and add some tags and flags and things like that, draw some clouds around stuff and everything on there too.
Yeah. So I'll just go ahead and save this, and I can close this and renumber these. So again, you'll see that's here. So if I zoom back out, double click on this, brings me back into the view and that specific location. Okay, so we have that. Let's go ahead and show you some other features. Let's say you wanted to communicate or relay these RFIs back and forth. Maybe you know, you're sharing with a Fabricator or whatever. It's extremely easy if I just come in here and browse to where I have one of these stored here on my desktop. Let me find this. So this is the RFI that would be zipped up using this tool. I can just come in here, drag and drop it, and that RFI 14 is instantly added with all of the information zoomed into that location. So sharing these is extremely easy if you need to pass them back and forth. So let's go ahead now. I'm going to come in here, and you'll notice here this says check for any overdue RFIs. You'll notice all my statuses right now. This one's closed, the rest are open. So I'll check it, and it looks at the date and compares it with today's date and tells me if it's overdue or not. So we also have a filtering feature. If I type in overdue, so normally you're not just going to have a handful of RFIs on a project. You probably have hundreds. You can easily filter by the overdue ones and then give these your attention to be able to pound through these and get them sorted out. Okay. I'll also click on this show status, and that's going to highlight the model based on the status. So I'm going to have a color for the ones that are closed, which are these here in green. All my overdue RFIs are going to be red, and then my open RFI, the one that I just created, is going to be yellow. Okay. So one other last thing that I'll show you on this, if I'll just redraw this so we can see. But I have an RFI out on this object, so let me try that again. That didn't work. So I'm just going to click on this RFI on objects, and what this is saying is that on this piece of bent plate I have 2 RFIs. Okay, so what you can do is just select an object and see if there's multiple information on there. The reason why we did that is because if you want to use some of our drawing templates and reports that bring in this RFI information, we can only report one in the UDAs unless you create a custom UDA tab to track more. So we're just going to write the most critical one to the UDA, but through the RFI Manager, you'll be able to see if there's multiples that affect a specific item in the model. Okay. So we have that. Let's go ahead back real quick. Again, just a little review of the RFI Manager, what it'll look like, what it can do. But you can customize this pretty well. But again, you have a graphical database, which is the model that's storing all of this information. All right. Let's go on next to Tekla BIM site. So this is a free application. Again, hopefully you all have heard of it, and hopefully all of you have downloaded it and are using it. But what you can do within Tekla BIM site is bring in and overlay different trade models, and you can run a clash check within Tekla BIM site. So it'll again look for those surface interferences. You can attach documents to objects. You can attach RFIs, which is what I'll show when we hop in there. You can link documents to it, which is what all these notes are down there, showing that it's been linked there. Any IFC or any UDA that you have in the model, you can have those UDAs exported relative to the pieces so that you can see that in Tekla BIM site. So again, like that RFI information that was written there, we could view that in Tekla BIM site. Any on-hold pieces, bought-out items, anything that you're putting into the UDAs, you can see that. Change management, I'll show that, how if you have a little, you know, as we do design build projects, if you have phase 1 of the model and then the model gets updated, I'll show you a quick, easy way how you can bring in the new model but not lose any of the comments or drawings or things that you have linked to those objects. You can save different views and everything, and then again, obviously, it's free. So it's what I call free 99, which you can't get much better than that.
Yeah, of course, you could also make a donation. Lee will give you his PayPal account number if you want to stay online at the end of the webinar.
There you go.
We'll give you that. Just one thing, just before we open up Tekla BIM site, there is some questions coming in. Please keep them coming. We're always keen to answer questions, and we've got Brian typing away as fast as he can in the booth, answering questions as quickly as possible for us during the webinar.
All right. So here, I just have phase 1 of this model. What I've done is I've already come in and linked the drawing documents to the individual objects. So the anchor bolts, the beams, and everything, and that's what these are representing, is that how many documents are linked to those individual pieces. So you could share this with somebody, they'll see the 3D model plus the PDF drawing. So I'll just shut those off. Then here are the notes. I came in and added a specific note. Let me just go ahead and open that. There we go. So I said verify that this is right, and I also told myself that it looks good to me. So you can comment, notes, and everything like that. So let's say that we got these documents, these notes, kind of a mumble-jumbled mess. But what I want to do now is come in, and the detailer says, hey, we got an updated version of the model, so we're going to send it over to you. So I'm just going to relink, select the new IFC object, or the IFC model. Then it'll come in and load, and you'll notice now that my documents and my notes are still linked to those same objects. So change management and doing work within Tekla BIM site is much easier, because you're not going to lose information as you get an updated model and things like that. So as I also mentioned, here under the objects, we can come in here, any UDA that we have. I can show the bought out items. It looks like I have a bunch on my rail. I could just click on this and do show. There we go. So just to show those, there's a bunch of these little corners for those, so we could look at that. If you organize the model, you'll be able to see all of that. We can also just take a look at the different RFI numbers. So let me click on this. So RFI 11 is there. I can come in here, back over to my documents, add a file. I'll find the PDF of RFI 11. So that's going to be added here. Then I can just select these objects using the area selection, link to selected. There we go. And then that document is linked to these objects within the actual model. Okay. So quick, easy workflow that we'll be able to do. Go ahead and zoom back out, and let me go back to my navigation. There we go. So that's kind of a quick workflow. Obviously, we're not showing all of the features that Tekla BIM site can do, but from a project communication and coordination standpoint, you can share the model, you can clash it, you can comment on it, you can add notes and link documents. So there's really no reason why anybody should not be communicating and coordinating their project without a 3D model.
Yeah, I mean, just on the Tekla BIM site side, remember that you don't have to have a Tekla license to get Tekla BIM site. So even though you're a Tekla user, you want to get the best value from your model. So get Tekla BIM site in front of all the people that you're working with. It costs them, how much, Lee?
It's free 99.
Costs them exactly zip. So and it gives you so much more value, and it lets you get processes done quicker. There's tons and tons of other videos about Tekla BIM site on www.teklabimsite.com. You'll find a whole bunch of learning and tutorial videos as well. So go ahead and download it, or not download, but just go ahead and watch them. And it covers so much of this stuff. And this is your key coordination tool right here. You don't have to rely on other users having Tekla without being able to speak your language.
All right. So this will lead into our question and summary section.
Yeah, we're actually running out of time, Lee, so I'm just looking at some of the questions and some of the more common ones coming in. The most common one was about the Clash Check Manager and how that's available. Remember, folks, it's available in the Construction Management module, which is a new available tool that we have, and you can go ahead and contact your account manager for information on that. Quite a few people asking about that. The other one was when you were showing that, Lee, you were showing the Show Only Selected tool, and I see that we've been answering some of these questions. That's Control 5 on your keyboard to get that Show Only Selected highlighted. That was a new in version 17, I think it was.
Yeah,
it was one of them as well. So sorry, I haven't got a lot of time to take a lot of questions, so I'm just kind of whizzing through them. Just going back to the big benefits of project communication and coordination. You've got tools specifically for fast internal communication. That's the data exchanger I was talking about earlier, and the comment tool that Lee showed a demonstration of. These are extremely powerful tools that can really enhance your productivity in terms of just communicating within your own company or within your project stakeholders as well. Clear external communications. That's more obviously the RFI Manager and Tekla BIM site. Using the graphical model, attaching objects to the communications like the RFIs and stuff like that as well. And remember, it's paper free as well, so we can all go out and hug a tree tomorrow afternoon if you want. We'll go and save the rainforest together. The other thing as well is, don't forget, you're getting, with all of these tools, you're getting a concise project history. You know, your RFIs all stored in the model, your Tekla BIM site showing all the statuses of things, and you've got all your clash check histories as well with all your conflicts too. So you've got a whole bunch of project history available as well. On the extranet, don't forget, we've got extensions there and all sorts of fun stuff for you to download. A golden nugget, I think Lee has got this immensely horrible graphic on this slide. But go ahead to that product page on the extranet, extensions on the left column there, and we put help files together, and there's videos together for all of that stuff as well. So go ahead and click on that and get some of those really fun new tools for Tekla. We just had our user meeting. Here's some of the fun that we had with.
Speaking of horrible graphics, here's Ian and Elvis.
With the this is me with the King in Las Vegas. So we had our user meeting, immensely successful user meeting, just at the start of this month. Watch out for news of next year's user meeting and some other events coming up as well. Speaking of events coming up, don't forget, next webinar, Wednesday, 5th of October, midday Eastern time. And that's going to be on review and change management. So nothing now remains but just to say thanks to Lee and also to Brian in the booth. Just one other thing I would like to add is that Lee is a skilled and qualified Tekla user, and so he is okay to eat RFIs. We are not suggesting that RFIs are edible, but indeed they are editable. So I just want to clarify that. Don't try that at home. But that's all from us for now. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you found it worthwhile. And we'll look forward to hearing from you throughout the month, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks, Lee.